swoop in and save the damsel in distress.
Smith referenced childhood trauma.
It was the little boy that watched his father beat up his mother.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Button 91. We're talking to you guys obviously about Will Smith. Nia Long speaks on the Will Smith situation, and she talks about how that she felt like it's time for Will Smith. It was a moment where she feels like Will Smith can now breathe and become human again, and that's understandable because Will Smith has been through so much in his youth, and I mean listening to his book as well, and which I'm still listening to. Actually, I haven't finished listening. I'm on like chapter 10 or whatever. I think I've got 8 more chapters, but it's actually made me understand this moment with Chris Rock in a much better way. Haven't been through obviously trauma, haven't been through his dad beating up his mum, haven't been through the fact that he felt like a coward in younger days, haven't been through the fact that, you know what, most of the time when he grew up, he had Charlie Mack, who would defend him in a lot of situations. Like, he isn't your natural born fighter. He's a comedian who uses his comedy to deflect away from the hardships of life. And that's what makes him so great. And I think it's just that moment with Chris Rock is one of those moments where it's like, do you know what? I'm tired of people taking the piss. I'm tired of people trying to come at my wife. I'm tired of not being able to defend myself. I'm tired of not having a proper response to some of these things, right? I hate the fact that Chris Rock was railing on her. Like, do you know what I mean? I think specifically that was annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you, and he's been warned as well previously. So, but anyway, let's look at what Nia Long was actually saying, and we can talk a little bit more. I want to keep this nice and short. So, to Nia Long, Will Smith was always a joyous person in the face of pressures of his career. The Empire actor, 52, opened up about her memories of working with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air star in recent interview with Yahoo Entertainment. I just remember that Will was the energetic, goofy, funny guy that was obsessed with playing golf and sneakers, she said, and he was just the happiest person. He was like Disneyland. I love him and I'll always love him. Long, who played Will's love interest Lisa during the 5th season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, also reflected on the burden she believes Smith has carried over the years due to his immense fame. He's had an incredible career and he's carried a burden for many years to try and represent what perfection looks like or achievement looks like, Long said. And I don't think that, at least when we were growing up, there was room to be human, and I think he's able to be human. It's been nearly a year since Smith's infamous slap when he walked on the stage on Oscars and struck Chris Rock after the comedian made a joke about Smith's wife, actor Jada Pinkett Smith. After the incident, Smith resigned from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and was banned from all Academy events for 10 years. While Long did not refer directly to the incident, she discussed the challenges Smith faces. He's a joyous person, she said of Smith, but I think we all have our moments in life where we have to reconcile things that maybe we suppress. And I think it's hard growing up in this business and being front and center every day, all day. Long has previously shared her sadness about the Oscars incident. I checked on him and Chris because I'm friends with both of them. She told Hollywood Reporter in December, that was hard for me because those are like my brothers, both of them. And she goes and said, I guess my prayer is that they can come to a place where they can at least be civil with one another and make peace, she added. Long also shared to Yahoo Entertainment that she feels grateful for her own anonymity. I'm not saying that word, bro. Allowing her to walk down the street without being chased by paparazzi. I appreciate that about my career, she said. It's a thing that allows me to stay connected to people and to be human and not try to be this perfect being. She then grew emotional as she talked about recent tough times in her own life. Late last year, the Love Jones star split from a part of 13 years Boston Celtics head coach Ime Udoka after he allegedly had an affair. I've had some pretty devastating moments in my life over the last couple of months, and I've had to just say, it's all right. You picked yourself up. Oh my God, I'm about to cry. Long said, you pick yourself up. Back up and you keep it moving. Now, I think what's really key about this is that Will Smith has had to play a role of perfection. And that's partly his fault too, and partly the what life has kind of thrown at him. If you really look at it, the situation, when I was listening to his book, one of the things that he kind of says is that, you know what, he used humor as a way of deflecting from actually dealing with issues that were very difficult to deal with, right? He always wanted to make people happy. And so that was something that he learned from his childhood. But what was interesting was the fact that he was neither he was not too black, he wasn't too white. His thing has always been to mass media market, and he's palatable for white people to actually listen to. And what was really interesting is, as I was listening to that, is that because he's so palatable to both white and black people, he gets the best of both worlds, but he also gets the standards of both worlds. And so you hear this kind of beef that he had with the Tupac situation, because he wasn't black enough, or he wasn't rugged enough, or wasn't dangerous enough. And then you kind of hear that that he is almost a court gesture amongst white folk. They can take him on, they can consume him, because he's able to flex between the two. And actually, when I listened to his biopic, he was talking about how, he had to figure out how to make jokes for the white community, because when he went to school, and he had to figure out jokes for the black boys in his hood. So Will Smith is used to playing a role where he's able to flex between two communities and trying to figure out the most potent way to deal with both. And he said at one time he was trying to figure out a joke that would make both parties laugh, right? So you can see how easily he can fall into perfection, trying to please everybody. And after a while, that frustration begins to build. And like we said about his upbringing and trauma of him not and what you hear in a book, you hear it several times: the regret of not standing up to his father, the regret of not fighting his father, the regret of not doing something. Unlike his brother Harry, who had a fight more mentality, he didn't do anything. But then several instances through Will's life, you realize there are men who come in, or boys that come in. Even his cousin at one point came in, and he was able to stand up to his father, and he was a block between himself and his father. Shorty Mack, was a person who would defend him at all costs, 6 foot, whatever he was, monstrous kind of guy, and he always had defensive there. So it's throughout his life, he's had people that have defended him. That's kind of prevented him having to deal with the straight up hardships. And I think in this moment, it was now no Charlie Mack, no Papa to deal with, none of this. It's just straight him and Chris Rock, and it's just one joke too many. And do you know what? Today, you getting it. You know what I mean? And so having to be perfect all the time, it builds up this. You build up this like you build up this kind of resentment, this kind of feeling of not being able to be your true self, and the anger and the frustration you feel, you can't even show it because you're trying to be perfect all the time, and you're trying not to use your anger. And of course, I'm sure he probably was afraid of his anger because of what he saw with his father. After a while, it just becomes too much, and then someone does something and you snap. It's a perfect storm. So I get it, you know what I mean? But listen, like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. We'll